Hello, my name is Rachel and I am one of the Youth Services Librarians here at the Grandview Heights Public Library, and today I'm going to share with you some recommendations for books for ages 0 to about grade 3. So I want to get started with some picture books. The first one I want to talk about is Bloom Boom by April Polisser. And April Polisser has really kind of made a name for herself with these picture books with just gorgeous illustrations of nature accompanied by real spare text. And today, since it's spring, I'm going to talk about Bloom Boom, but you might also know her from some of her other seasonal books like Full of Fall. There's also Best in Snow, a winter one. And then she's got some great animal ones. There's Warbler Wave and Bean Frog. She's got weather ones, Raindrops Roll. So I would highly recommend checking out any of her books just for the photographs alone. So Bloom Boom, though, is a celebration of spring and how one day you might just see a tiny little bud and then really, really quickly, almost overnight, there is a Bloom Boom, and all of a sudden there's color and flowers everywhere. So it shows spring in many different kinds of landscapes, and in the back she actually gives some information about all the places that these photographs were taken and about the blooms themselves. So it's also kind of a great nonfiction if you're looking for something like that. And I just feel like every single one of her books could be made into a calendar. So definitely check them out if you have young nature fans at home. Okay, next I want to talk about another picture book called Seaside Stroll by Charles Trevino. And Seaside Stroll celebrates the letter S because every word in this book starts with the letter S, which makes it fun to read aloud. And actually the constant hiss of the S sound after a while kind of starts to sound like the ocean waves, crashing and then receding from the shore. I don't know if that was intentional by the author or not, but it's something I noticed when reading it. So overall, there's very few words in this. Most of the attention is on the gorgeous illustrations. And it's just a young girl and her mother who are taking a walk in the evening on the beach in the winter. And it doesn't have, like I said, a lot of text or a lot of plot. So you can really take your time poring over these illustrations. Give you another example. And noticing it all, like there's a picture in here of a tide pool with a bunch of tiny creatures in it. And you can also talk to your child about what you think that the character, the little girl, is thinking and feeling at different parts of the book. Like at one point she drops her doll in the water. So sometimes it is good to have books that actually tell a little less so that you can talk about what you think the characters are thinking and feeling during those times. So this is just a really cozy read that is perfect to kind of just snuggle up under a blanket and share. All right, now I'm going to talk about a couple of nonfiction for kids a little bit older. I would say this is maybe middle elementary school, around 3rd grade, maybe could be a little bit younger. If they have some help with some of the vocabulary, also could be a little bit older. But this is called The Great Shark Rescue Saving the Whale Sharks by Sandra Markle. And this is a great one for your budding environmental activists because in recent years, fewer and fewer whale sharks are being spotted out in the wild. And even though there are, special marine sanctuaries that have been set aside for them, their population keeps decreasing. So this book kind of delves into what may be happening to the whale sharks and how experts and volunteers are working together to bring those population numbers back up. So there's really awesome visuals in this book, including, of course, pictures of the whale sharks. It's got graphs and charts and maps to really illustrate what's happening. It's worth noting that in this book there is one picture of a dead whale shark that has likely been killed by poachers, so just something to note for your more sensitive readers. But this is also a part of a series all by Sandra Markle, and includes, got another one right here, The Great Bear Rescue, Saving the Gobi Bears. And it also has The Great Penguin Rescue, The Great Rhino Rescue, The Great Leopard Rescue, The Great Monkey Rescue. And so although the situation for a lot of these species is pretty dire, the book doesn't read that way. There is a lot of hope about what we can do to help the situation and help save these species. And in the back, she has a timeline and also a glossary, which is especially good in a book like about the whale sharks, because a lot of it is undersea stuff and parts of a shark, so you can know what that stuff is. And then also resources where you can find out more. So this would also be a great one for like your school projects. Okay, now I am going to step away from books for a minute and talk to you about a CD, or actually several CDs. So as wonderful as Jim Gill and Laurie Berkner are, to adults, their music, it can kind of get old. And it can be difficult to find a good compromise between something that you as an adult would want to listen to and something that your child would want to listen to. So if you're looking for something that is appropriate but doesn't make you want to tear your hair out after listening to it 100 times, there is the Rockabye Baby series. And if you haven't heard of Rockabye Baby, it's lullaby renditions of like all sorts of famous groups. So this one is lullaby renditions of the Beatles. And so it's got classics like Queen and the Beatles and Johnny Cash and all that stuff, but it also has newer stuff too. It's got like Lady Gaga and Beyonce, and they even have like Black Sabbath and Iron Maiden. So basically any genre, pop, rock, heavy metal, country, rap, hip hop, they have. So if it's a famous musician or a famous band, it's probably been covered by Rockabye Baby. So you can now listen to Rockabye Baby, and you can listen to Rockabye Baby Eminem, which you can enjoy, but is still appropriate for your child to listen to. I also really like they have cute album covers that shows teddy bears recreating some of the most iconic album covers of these famous groups. So save your ears and check it out. Okay, back to nonfiction. This is called Nuestra America, 30 Inspiring Latinas, Latinos Who Have Shaped the United States by Sabrina Vorwulius. So in the past few years, there has been a lot of nonfiction compilations coming out. There's like the Little Leaders in Black History and Little Legends in Black History by Vashti Harrison. Sports Illustrated has some compilations about athletes. You got like Young, Gifted, and Black, and the David Stadler books that's like kid athletes, kid presidents, kid artists that tell stories of famous people when they were kids. And I personally love these books because a lot of times kids do not want to delve into a whole full-length biography of one person, especially if it's someone that they've never heard of. And books like these give them a chance to find out about that person with more just the basic information to see if they'd want to explore further, but it's a little less intimidating than a whole biography. So, for instance, in Nuestra America, you have it gives you like a beautiful illustration of the person. So let's see, I can find Sylvia Mendez, civil rights activist. So you've got like this beautiful portrait, and then it just has like a little over 2 pages of information just highlighting what you should know about Sylvia Mendez. And it's very much easier to digest for kids, especially for reluctant readers. And another great thing about these compilations is they really have done a good job of bringing to light the stories of more marginalized groups and people of color, women, immigrants, whose stories might not have been told until now. So Nuestra America is a great one about the Latinx population, but again, there are these books are coming out for lots of different populations and groups. Oh, and this is also probably around, your second, third graders. Okay, now jumping down to your little ones, I have a couple of board books here. Who's in the Forest by Phyllis Gershator, and also Who's in the Farmyard. There's also a Who's in the Garden. And these are really fun peek through picture books. So they have holes in them. And they've got really cute, brightly colored illustrations, but part of the fun is it's kind of a guessing game when you read it, as your little ones will look through the hole and kind of get a clue there about what they're going to see next. So this says, who's in the forest dark and deep? And you see in our hole there we have a bird, and when we turn the page, birds in the treetop, cheep, cheep, cheep. They also rhyme, which is a lot of fun. So this is great for your toddlers who are really starting to interact with books and understand what's going on, and be able to predict what might be coming next. All right. Next for you, I have a fun graphic novel called Bolivar by Sean Rubin. And so this is a great graphic novel for kids that are around kindergarten through grades 3. It's a great starting graphic novel for kids who are just starting to get into the genre. And kids on the lower end of that spectrum that I just said will enjoy probably reading it more with a parent, and older kids around grade 3 will be able to read it on their own. So the reason it's such a good starting graphic novel is because it's not super text heavy, and the illustrations are really clear, and the panels are really easy to follow to understand what's going on. And so this is about Bolivar, who is a dinosaur who lives in New York City. He is the last dinosaur who is not extinct, and he likes a quiet life. He keeps to himself, he rents an apartment. He loves going out to eat and going to museums. And no one actually notices that Bolivar is a dinosaur because everyone is just too busy to notice him, except for his young neighbor, Sybil. So it's a really funny and cute story that kind of just reminds us that sometimes we need to just stop and smell the roses and see the dinosaurs that have been right in front of our faces all the time. So that is Bolivar by Sean Rubin, a fun graphic novel for your young kiddos. And for your kiddos who are just starting to learn to read, I'm going to share a series called Bella and Rosie by Michelle Dufresne. And Michelle Dufresne writes actually a lot of different really early readers for kids who are just starting to read, particularly in like the DRA levels A through E. And like all early readers, there's not a lot of text, there's no plot, there's really not much there, and they're not that exciting, but they do have an important place in a child's journey to literacy. They're important. So I like these because they have really fun, cute photographs of dogs. So if you have to read something that's not super exciting, I'm going to pull out like a level B here. Bella is in the leaves. Rosie is in the leaves too. That's kind of it. So if you're gonna read something like that with your very, very beginning reader, at least it has cute pictures of dogs. My kids love these personally. So yeah, anything you can do to make those really kind of monotonous early readers a little bit more fun, is great. So you've got Bella and Rosie. There's also a couple of other dogs in the series, Daisy and Jack, and all of the things that they do and the places they go. So an early reader for you. And now I have just a really fun one. So chances are you have read something by John Sheshka and it has made you laugh out loud. So for this book, Battle Bunny, John Sheshka has teamed up with Mac Barnett of Count the Monkeys fame, another really funny author, to bring us Battle Bunny, which is a book that looks like it was improved upon by a child or, a couple of childlike adults. And so as you can see, the cover is made to look like a book called Birthday Bunny, but that has been modified and crossed out to create Battle Bunny. And that makes the story a lot less innocent and heartwarming and a lot more exciting as this little sweet little bunny kind of becomes this like power hungry supervillain who's intent on world domination, and all the forest friends become these like mindless zombie drones in her evil plans. So anyways, it's just really fun, especially if you read the original text of the story underneath. I particularly like this illustration of Battle Bunny sitting on her throne with the words "Power is good, power is mine" above her. So this is just a good one for a lot of laughs. This can be shared with kids of almost any age, and enjoyed because it's just really fun. Okay, on to my last recommendation, which are some beginning chapter books. And a beginning chapter book is for kids who have graduated past the early reader stage but aren't ready for quite the full-length novels yet. Think like Magic Tree House, although, and I'm not knocking Magic Tree House, but there's a lot more out there than Magic Tree House and Geronimo Stilton, though. So I wanted to share a new series with you. And two of the books in this series are Ada Lovelace Cracks the Code and Dr. Wangari Maathai Plants a Forest. So these are by Rebel Girl, and if you don't know about Rebel Girl, they have the books Bedtime Stories for Rebel Girls for younger readers in this. So they're this company that I wrote down in their own words, uses storytelling to show girls a universe of possibilities, inspires them to dream without limits. So they have come out with some chapter books about these inspiring female characters. And although they are, kind of biographical, they read more like a story. And it's the girls are young in them, so around the age of the kids who are going to be reading them. They also have Junko Tabai masters the mountain, Alicia Alonso takes the stage, and Madam C.J. Walker builds a business. So this is great for those who have kind of outgrown the bedtime stories for Rebel Girls and still want more. And it's also great for parents who are wanting to get their kids away from some of those more kind of formulaic beginning readers and beginning chapter books and transfer into something a little different. So. All right, well, I'm so glad I got the chance to share some book talks with you guys today. Hopefully I will see you guys back in a few weeks again to share some Star Wars themed books for May the 4th. So again, my name is Miss Rachel from the Grandview Heights Public Library, and thanks for watching today.